It's Wednesday, December 20th. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. On today's show, we talk with Chief of Police Paul McDonald. He tells us about some recent shoplifting arrests, and we talk highlights of 2017 for the BPD. Then we'll talk with Finance Director Mark Milne about the 10-year financial forecast, as well as a look at the upcoming capital improvement plan process. And finally, Town Clerk Ann Quirk tells us about the upcoming town census. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. Cape Cod Coffee is officially open at the cafe at Barnstable Municipal Airport. A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held Monday. Owner Jan Agerbeck and gave everyone a preview of their plans for the space.
First of all, welcome and happy holidays. I'm from Europe. I can say Merry Christmas. So this place is open 7 days a week. We're open from 5:30 to 1. And in the summer, we're going to extend those hours. By the time April comes around, we should have an outside patio where you can sit. We'll apply for a liquor license, so as long as the town is willing to work with us, which they are.
It will.
We should have alcohol here by sometime in April. We'll have Cape Cod beer. We'll have First Crush wine out of Harwich. We're working with Cape and Island distilleries to have our vodka and a bunch of other stuff. We have food, we have lunches, soups, and all that stuff. It's a little bit different than your traditional Cape Cod coffee setup, but it's all about the Cape. So, again,
gotta love that.
Yeah, and the airport's been unbelievable to work with. The town's been great to work with. Everybody's been very helpful. We're very excited about it. Now we just got to figure out how do we pull people in from the Rotary. So you'll see some of us, right, Derek, out there dancing during the week. We'll do it.
No.
Assistant Airport Manager Katie Service officially welcomed Cape Cod Coffee to the space.
So we really appreciate that you came out for this event. We're looking to not only provide our airport community with a great place to have coffee and to have lunches, but also for our outside community, our community outside of the airport, to come into the cafe to enjoy the great coffee that they serve. I am totally a convert. We're really happy that you came out here. Please spread the word that Cape Cod Coffee is at the airport. Make this a destination location for Cape and Island. So thank you. 1, 2, coffee!
We gotta hold it really tight.
Cape Cod Coffee is open daily from 5:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., serving coffee, pastries, salads, and sandwiches. The Barnstable School Committee has an opening for a 4-year term for 1 seat. According to the town charter, there is a 30-day window of opportunity to fill this position. Anyone interested should reach out to the school committee or to your town councilor to express interest. As part of the holiday tradition, the Hyannis Youth and Community Center Giving Tree is the focal point in the main lobby during the month of December. Donations of gently used coats, mittens, as well as new hats will be accepted until December 31st. All donations will benefit Cape Cod Child Development. The Marine Environmental Affairs Division would like to remind everyone that renewal season is right around the corner. All mailings will be sent out by the new year and must be returned by their due dates. Any questions or concerns, please contact the MEA office at 508-790-6273. Up next, Chief of Police Paul McDonald. Chief, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to get right into you told me that you closed some open cases of some shoplifting that was going on at the Cape Cod Mall recently. What can you tell me about this?
This has been, this is the time of year, right around the holidays, where the shoplifting incidents really increase. And we actually changed the way we patrol. We deploy a lot more marked units and surveillance vehicles up and down the Route 130 corridor where all the malls are, because this is the year. This is their heyday for shoplifters. In the past couple of weeks, we've had multiple incidents around the mall, at Staples, at West Marine store on Route 28, just outside Hyannis. We had dealing with boats. We all know how expensive that is. Mm-hmm. We did develop some information on a couple of suspects. Suspects were also, we believe, involved in incidents on Down Cape and Dennis and Harwich. We put them under surveillance, and last night, yesterday afternoon, we trailed them for most of the day, and we got them actually in the act, stealing multiple items from Best Buy, West Marine, Staples, Shaw's Market, and then trying to sell the stuff. to Cash Point, which is located on Main Street, Hyannis. So it's kind of like a fencing operation down there. So we were able to arrest two individuals. They were identified as Todd Germain, who's 56 years old, and Willie Brown, who is actually 68 years old. I mean, these two individuals, I mean, they go back to when I first started being a policeman, dealing with these two individuals. Mr. Germain has been arrested 328 times.
Wow.
That's kind of like a record. But they had literally, in the last several weeks, stolen tens of thousands of dollars worth of items downtown Hyannis. So this is a huge dent.
Wow, I would say so. That's just absolutely astonishing and amazing that he has such a high arrest record.
They have it down to a science.
Yeah, apparently.
Yesterday we had them under surveillance. We had a team of detectives, following them around and actually videotaping them and watching them the entire time. And they know what they're doing. They're very, very good at what they do. And they go for the high-end merchandise. And as you know, a lot of high-end merchandise, the security locks and all of it. But they have the tools with them, and they quickly snip it without sounding off the alarms. And then they're wearing special clothing where they can hide the stuff in their clothing without being detected as it goes through the doorway leading outside. They're pretty good at what they do, and if you look at them, they're both two older gentlemen. You would never suspect them of doing what they're doing.
Right. Well, I'm sure the businesses that you caught them stealing at are very appreciative of that.
They are appreciative, and they were on board with us. I mean, we work with the loss prevention, and those loss prevention guys, guys and girls, they do a great job.
Wonderful. I also wanted to talk to you about, this is going to be our last interview for 2017.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the highlights of special things that happened within the police department in 2017. I know we had the community service officers back again this summer, and you hired some new police officers just recently. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind that you're genuinely proud of from 2017? Well,
our primary role, in town of Barnstable in society is the prevention of crime and it's the suppression of crime, and making people feel safe, And for like six year in a row, our Part 1 crimes are down dramatically, and we like to think that the way we're patrolling the special operations that we have, the street crime unit, the community impact unit, the CSOs, has made a huge difference in that. We also have the school resource officers, mingling with the kids during the school year, developing a relationship with them, so as they grow older, they have this relationship with police officers. So we think that all makes a difference, and we want to continue doing that way. And also this past summer, we had the Barnstable Unity Day, again, second year in a row with the minority community, so we want to continue having that relationship with the minority community, and we want everybody to know that we are out there serving the community. And as you said, we recently hired 4 new police officers. 2 of them are Brazilian nationals, which is huge because we do have a sizable Brazilian community. And it's important that the police department is a reflection of the community it serves.
Wonderful. It's so true. And especially another thing that, I know we've been talking about a lot recently is your upgrades to the 911 system.
Yes.
I know. So that you've been on the new system for about 2 weeks now, I would say. Everything's still going fairly well?
Everything's going fairly well. A big step this Thursday night at Town Council. The MOU between the Barnstable PD and the Hyannis Fire Department is on their agenda. Hopefully it gets a positive response from them, and I hope they encourage the town manager to sign it. Once he signs it, we're going to move forward, start ordering the equipment, and I don't think there's anything going to stop us after that. Wonderful.
And just real quick, any goals for 2018 that you're looking forward to accomplishing?
Well, that's our single biggest goal. Our single biggest goal is to get that up and running. We just have a timetable for our construction of dispatch center. That's being gutted out and renovated. We're going to bring in 9 new civilian dispatches. Once we sign that MOU, we're going to hire 3 additional dispatchers to cover the fire operations side of it. Hyannis Fire Department, they're still in the construction stage of their department. They're going to order new equipment. That's going to be brought in here. Hopefully by April 1st, May 1st, around that general timeline, it will be fully up and running and operational. And then we are going to continue in talks with the other 4 fire departments. Hopefully we get everybody involved.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Chief, for joining us all year long, and I look forward to chatting with you again in 2018.
We'll see you January 2nd.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
My guest today is Police Chief Paul McDonald. Coming up, we'll talk to Town Clerk Ann Quirk about the upcoming census, but first, Finance Director Mark Milne. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. One of the first things I wanted to talk about today was the 10-year financial forecast. I know with the charter changes, we're going to be going to a 5-year forecast next year. But what can you kind of tell me about the 10-year forecast and why we kind of do this kind of thing?
Sure. The 10-year forecast is, it's a good planning document for us in the past. It gives us an opportunity to look back over the past 10 years of financial transactions and try to identify trends that we see occurring, particularly in our revenue structure. It's probably the most important side of our general ledger is the revenue side of the ledger. Without, the revenues coming in as anticipated, we can't do what we want to do on the other side of the ledger, which is allocate the resources to certain services, provide services to the community. So we have to keep a close eye on what those revenue trends are indicating to us as to how things are going, and the 10-year forecast gives us the opportunity to do so, and then trying to project that out over the next 10 years is largely a guess, because there are so many outside factors that could impact all those various revenue sources that we can't necessarily control.
Right.
Decisions made at the federal level, whether it's tax reform or state level, with the amount of appropriations that we may receive from the state legislature and local aid, all of these outside forces tend to impact what happens here locally, and trying to project what that is nearly impossible.
Mm-hmm. So much can happen in 10 years.
Exactly. Sometimes things can significantly change in 6 months, never mind 10 years. Mm-hmm. But at least if we look back at the trends for the past 10 years, we can feel pretty comfortable that we can replicate those over the next 10 years, unless there's a specific issue that we know that's coming on the horizon. That's the benefit of doing long-range planning like that, is that you know certain things need to be done, and so we're always trying to prepare prepare ourselves financially for what we can anticipate that's going to be needed in say 2, 3, 5, even 10 years, because we try not to focus on just the most current fiscal year and the next year's budget, but gives us an opportunity to do that longer range planning, because without that, communities could end up in a deep hole if they don't plan for things that we've identified that we know we're going to have to do.
Right. And if anybody's interested, this 10-year forecast is available on the town's website. I know it's right on the homepage, so if people want to give it a look and see, what may or may not happen.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, exactly. It is what may or may not happen. It's a good one. That's true, because again, there's so many outside factors impacting us that
right.
we can't control them.
And with some of the changes to the charter, starting next year, you're going to go to a 5-year forecast. Do you feel like that's going to make it a little bit more easier to forecast possibly what could happen if you're only looking at a 5-year clip at a time?
Well, it's essentially we're still going to look back over 10 years, but yeah, we're just going to cut. Instead of doing 10 years, we'll just eliminate those last 5 years and just spend a little more emphasis on focusing on trying to more fine-tune those first 5 years, to try to get them to be a little bit more reflective of what we anticipate that's going to happen. So if we can narrow our focus from a 10-year period down to a 5-year period, I think we can get we can improve our planning over the next 5 years a little bit more.
Right, and 5 years is still a pretty good chunk of time. A lot can happen, a lot can change, and a lot can also stay the same. So
yeah, and it coincides neatly with our capital improvement program, which has always been a 5-year plan. So we'll be able to spend more time emphasizing the tie-in of the 5-year capital improvement plan with the 5-year forecast, and then how that translates into the next year's operating budget, because they're all interconnected.
Right.
And this will, I think, provide us an opportunity to better connect those documents.
Wonderful. Looking back on 2017, is there anything in particular that sticks out in your mind as, maybe a big project that the town was able to complete through maybe some of this, forecasted planning?
Well, I think the capital program that we've been, over the past 5 years, we've been able to allocate more resources to our capital program because in our long-range planning, we've identified the capital needs of the town and have focused on the fact that the capital needs continue to grow, and therefore we need more resources directed towards that area of our operating budget, and so we've emphasized adding more resources to that area of the budget every year as opposed to the operating side. And so I would say that that's really one of the things we accomplished was and continue to work on is enhancing the resources allocated to the capital program. We did that in 17 and the years before that as well, and we plan on doing more of that over the next 5-year period.
Wonderful. I know that planning has already begun. I mean, you're always working on the next budget, so I know we're getting ready to go into the budget process for FY 2019. Is there anything that our residents should be aware of coming up?
Well, we had a good meeting last week with our Capital Improvement Plan Task Force, whereby we had all the departments who submitted capital requests make presentations of those requests, their highest priorities anyway, to this team of evaluators, which is made up of department heads across the town, including the schools, the airport, public works, community services, and so forth. Gave us the opportunity for the task force to ask questions, to better understand what these projects involve, creating better organizational awareness of the needs that the town has across departments, so that every department manager isn't just hyper-focused on their own operation, but they have a better understanding of what the other departments are facing. Mm-hmm. So we had a good meeting last week. We ranked the projects according to which ones were more essential than others, so forth. And from there, we will do a secondary scoring that the task force that will take those projects and compare them to a set of criteria that are closely aligned with the town council's strategic plan, which then will give the town manager a data set, some information that he can use to evaluate the projects that have been submitted to him for consideration, and he can use those to assist him in his decision-making process as to which ones to bring forward to the town council.
Yeah, the CIP process I know is a very large process because there's so many different projects that could be coming from any different department in the town. So it's great to see that it's very thought out and very, very meticulous process.
It is. There's a lot of this is a very large town. Being a seaside community complicates that even more in the fact that we have many waterways that need to be dredged, harbors that need to be maintained, bulkheads. So it adds to the inventory of things that need to be cared for. Mm-hmm. Where your typical inland community, we all have schools, roads, sidewalks, but we have that added layer of being a coastal community that makes it that a little bit more complicated because of those additional features that you have to watch out for.
Right. Well, Mark, I really appreciate you joining us today. Is there anything else you want our viewers to know about before I let you go?
We are closely monitoring what's happening at the federal level with tax reform. Mm-hmm. The decisions that are being made there could have an impact on local communities, particularly in the capital side of things, as we were just talking about, because some of the decisions that they made may affect the cost of borrowing for municipalities going forward. Mm-hmm. And so we're keeping a close eye on that, which will, probably scale back what we'll be able to do under existing resources that we allocate to the program. So we may have to allocate even more to compensate for that. So just be aware that, what they're doing at the federal level right now will trickle down to the local level eventually if it's approved. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wonderful. So. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to chatting with you again in 2018.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye.
Bye. My guest today is Mark Milne. He's the finance director here in the town of Barnstable. And thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about the census. The town does a census every year, and you're gonna start gearing up for that in January. What can you tell us about the census?
We have started working with the folks that are sending it out for us, and in this year, something different is that the Senior Center is also going to put in an insert with the census, so they're looking for information as well. The census is a mandate through the state of Massachusetts, and every city and town sends it out because we need to keep track of our voters, and we need to keep track of how many children there are out there that may be coming to school next year. And those are the kinds of things we're looking for with the census.
Mm-hmm. And with looking at those kind of things, what are the reasons that the town needs to have that information every year?
Well, you know, things change from year to year. People move into town, people move out of town. The other thing is that sometimes people forget to put their children on the census. So all of a sudden, one year we may get a whole family on there, and we just had the husband and wife. So it's important because we need to know how many children are going to attend school. What do we need for grades? What do we need for teachers? It's all one big ball.
Mm-hmm. And it's also a good way to know how many people are living in town,
Correct.
Where those people are living in town.
Correct.
It's not really a concern about who you are. It's just where you are.
Where you are.
Yeah.
Because as you know, we have so many different school districts, you know, within our schools, we have so many different locations, I should say. So, you know, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. I know sometimes people get confused because they hear census and they think the national census, but this is something that the town does every single year. Goes out, you'll get it in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
If you get it in the mail and you lose it, you can come into town hall and you can fill out a form here. Can you get forms at other locations?
They can call us on the phone and we can send one out. Or we could just talk with them and just verify that everything is the same as it was the previous year. So we do have that information on a computer for us. And we do look for people to just sign it if nothing's changed and send it back to us. The libraries sometimes collect them for us. Just pop in and see us, give us a call, but just sign it, and that way we know everything's the same. If someone's moved, if someone in your family has moved, one of your children got married and they've moved away, we need to know because we need to take them off the census.
Right.
So that's all important information for us.
And it's also a way to make sure that you stay on the active voter list.
Very, very important for that. You will find out now in 2020, we're going to have another presidential election. Hopefully everybody will have sent their census back, so we'll have everybody where they should be, so there won't be the tie-ups and the lines of people waiting to vote because they haven't voted in 4 years and they haven't sent in a census. And
it's important.
It's important.
And like you said, even if nothing has changed, you should still turn it in. It's not one of those things, oh, well, nothing's changed. I live in the same place, you know.
Right.
Everything's fine, so I don't need to send it in. You still need to send it in. It's so easy. Sign it, send it back in. If you're in town hall, drop it in the box that you guys have in the first floor area. Very easy. So when should people start seeing those coming in the mail?
Probably the first week of January. That's what we're gearing towards.
Will they all go out once, or is it a rolling?
No, they'll all go out at once. So we're looking at that time frame. But of course, right now, because of Christmas and the holidays and things that are happening, we really didn't want them to go out in the mail before the end of December, the beginning of January, because then they have the possibility of getting lost in the mail.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're hoping that towards the first week of, second week of January, they should stop rolling out.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. There's so much extra mail coming in, and packages, and cards, and flyers, and everything else that you get at this time of the year. So it's important to make sure that it's, you know, people are aware of it, they see it, they get it, and it takes 2 seconds. It doesn't take much time at all.
And it really doesn't. And this year we're going to have a different color envelope for them to put their census into, to return it to us, so that it stands out for us and we can take it right out of the mail and make sure we take care of our part of it.
Excellent. Another thing we wanted to chat about today is Margot Weber stepped down from the school committee last year. She had just run for re-election, so that leaves a hole on the school committee. What's going to be the process moving forward to fill her position on the school committee?
Well, I have received her letter of resignation, which was step one. I've notified the school committee and the town council so that they're aware that I have the resignation letter, and now we have a window of 30 days that we have to do something about this. So what will happen is, if people are interested, please contact either your town councilor or the school committee and let them know you are interested, because they will be looking at people to see who is interested to take this position. It is for 4 years. You will complete her term, and it's something that's vital to the school system and to the town. So as long as you're a voter in the town of Barnstable, you can actually put your name in for this. And I don't know exactly when the town council and the school committee are going to meet, but we have a time frame we have to follow. So everyone is aware of the time frame, and we're just going to try and work around this to get everything done within 30 days.
So this will be a joint appointment from both the town council and the school committee. They will get together and decide who that they're going to appoint. Are they going to have do you know if they're going to plan on having a special meeting, or?
Well, that's what I'm assuming they're going to do first, is have a special meeting. And it will be open to the public.
Yep.
So as soon as we know that, it'll go up on the website.
Wonderful.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a process, but it sounds like,
It is.
everyone's going to do their best to find the best candidate for the position. And like you said, if anyone out there is interested, they can contact the town council or the school committee and let that be known, so that they can be considered for that 4-year position. It's it's a long term.
It is.
So it has to be serious candidates only.
Serious, definitely.
Wonderful. Ann, is there anything else you'd like our viewers to know about before I let you go?
You may be getting phone calls. You may see some mail coming through regarding the 2020 census, which is the federal census. And that's the one where they go out door to door. So if you should start hearing things, it's because they're gearing up for it. We're already on board here at the town, as all the other towns in Massachusetts. So things are starting to happen towards that one. So don't be surprised if you start getting mail and they're asking questions. It's okay.
Yep. The big census is coming.
The big one.
We got a few years to go, but everyone in the town should be ready, because we do our annual census every year. So.
We do.
Thank you so much, Ann, for coming down and chatting with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. My guest today is Ann Quirk. She's the town clerk here in the town of Barnstable. The only meetings left on the schedule this week are site plan review tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the town hall hearing room, and town council also tomorrow at 7 p.m. Thanks for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new show. We'll catch up with Town Manager Mark Ells. We'll talk to State Senator Julian Cyr about the Criminal Justice Reform Bill. And finally, we'll talk with Town Council President Eric Steinhilber about this week's Town Council meeting. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.